Elon Musk has apparently somehow convinced the United States government, specifically the United States Department of State, that the taxpayers of the United States of America should spend $400 million buying, quote, armored Tesla production units. Isn't it great and definitely not at all illegal or profoundly corrupt? Definitely not ripping us all off to pay themselves, right?
Donald Trump didn't give that contract to Elon Musk. Joe Biden gave it to him.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. I'm warning you that I am a little bit under the weather. I'm definitely coming down with something. I got the aches. I got the stuffy head and stuff like that. Not to worry. If I cough or sneeze or something like that, I will cover my mouth. I'm not going to spread my germs all over you. That's science. So you're safe. You're safe. But I apologize in advance when I end up having some sort of coughing spasm. I probably would have taken the night off, but for the fact that tonight's show is really a banger. There's so much that happened in the last 24 hours. When I say the last 24 hours, it's really the last 26 hours because some of it was unfolding while I was live on the air last night. And as soon as the show ended, within a half hour, I had enough stories. I could have done a whole other show. Seriously, I could have done a whole other second show a half hour later. I didn't. And that was probably a wise move because I was kind of run down at that point. But I'm saying I had enough content because so much is unfolding so rapidly and so unusually. But I'm glad I didn't because there's actually more that I have to pack into tonight's show. So many ongoing developments and confusing things and things that are good news, perhaps bad news. We're going to go through it all. First and foremost, as you've seen there, Jeffrey Epstein. The files related to Jeffrey Epstein are purportedly gone missing. Missing. That's the sort of thing that happens to government files all the time. They just go missing. That's not at all sus. No. Still not seeing the JFK files. A lot of things just seem to be delayed for reasons that people are perplexed about. We're going to get into that story also. Zelensky has caved to Donald Trump. Yesterday, I was reporting to you how Ukraine was filing UN resolutions to try and take the temperature of the United States and see whether or not they're going to sign on board with them versus Russia. And I pointed out that the United States correctly said, "Nyeh, you're going to try and put us in this little ping pong situation between you and Russia. You're not going to like the way that turns out." And that seems to have been the right call because ultimately today Zelensky caved in some pretty serious ways. Some pretty serious ways. We're going to talk about that. It's not the end of the war. I don't want to mislead anyone. But certainly with respect to United States-Ukrainian relationships, there was significant cavature from Zelensky. So we're going to look at that. Also, RFK exposing Congress and pointing out about the unholy relationship between Congress, pharmaceutical industry. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that unholy union that RFK has exposed, called out, and discuss perhaps what could happen as a result of him identifying these issues. Finally, I also plan on covering with you tonight Trump unveiling his thoughts about the gold card. If there was ever a president that would unleash the gold card, that would be in American history, right? I mean, that if you're a high school student 100 years from now, and they ask you which president introduced the gold card, and you have to think back through history. I'll tell you right now, every high schooler is going to get that question right because the first president you would come up with, who would come up with the concept of the gold card, would obviously be Donald John Trump. So we're going to talk about what the gold card is, and is it fair? Is it ethical? Is it logical? Is it legal? In addition, there's a couple of other legal elements that I plan on discussing with you guys at some point tonight, and I have a new sponsor. Well, I should say I don't recall if I shared my sponsor yesterday. Perhaps some of you in the audience can enlighten me. I didn't go through last night's show. I didn't. I've been feeling under the weather, and I had a whole big hassle with my car, like a whole big hassle with my car today, which basically monopolized far too much of my day. So I didn't have a chance to review. Did I have an ad last night? Did I have a paid sponsor last night? Because I've been doing paid. I've had a whole bunch of new sponsors that have come in. If any of you recall that, yes, Joe shared his sponsorship last night, because these are all one-offs for these sponsors. I can't start giving away free stuff here. Come on. This is a business. It's a business going on here. I know I did I did do it. No, not Mrs. Lawgic's car. There was no sponsor. It's not. No, this one is actually my car. She drives a minivan. This is my own car. It's my own hunk of junk. When I say hunk of junk, I mean really hunk of junk, which is all I really need. I don't really go driving that much, fortunately, as is well reported. I don't go driving very much. So it was my car. I actually was all right. I'll share. It's a really rundown vehicle. When I say rundown, okay, it's a 2010 Altima. Okay, you want to talk about a rundown car? It's a 2010 Altima. So what's that? Like 16 years old now? Yeah. So my 2010 Altima, which it's got problems with its tires, its alternator, it's got a leak of the steering wheel fluid. I mean, it's a walking disaster. It's a walking disaster. And what I did was, I was like, my kid goes to school far away. This is pretty good for going on trips and stuff like that. And he's pretty good at his maintenance. I said to him, look, you get that thing going, you get it up and going, I'll let you use it basically as primarily being your car, because I don't really need to drive around very much. So I'll let you use it as your car. And that, you say that to a 20-year-old, he's like, hot damn, yeah. He spent 3 hours a couple of weeks ago just trying to take care. And I was like, use my credit card. You could do whatever you want to try and take care of it. I want you to be able to use this card. And I was like, use my card and just, take care of it. Whatever needs to be done. I don't want to have to deal with the hassle. I don't like having to deal with the hassle. I said the price of you getting this car is you deal with the hassle. And he did. He really, really did. He ended up having to call someone to get boosted and all that. And then he drove 2 blocks away and it died on him. So now, instead of being in my driveway, it ended up being 2 blocks away on the street. And that's not a good that's not a good thing. Anyway, so then I had to basically now retrieve my car from being impounded. And yeah, it was a difficult day, and I'm dealing with this whole cold thing that's coming down. Lady Lawgic tried helping, as she is wont to do, but she's got her own business going down. So having to deal with that sort of stuff is just ugh. So that's what I spent basically most of today doing, was getting my car back so I can basically sell it as soon as possible. Can we get platinum or black cards? Maybe. We'll see. I'm sure it always starts with a gold card. It starts with a gold card, but eventually we work our way into the platinum or the black card, right? That's the way it always is. 2010 Ultima can be a ticking time. Yeah, and I warned him about that. I was like, look, you can use it like a ticking time. It ticked for a block and a half, and then it bombed. So yeah, it was ticking. It was ticking. Anyway, so we're done. I'm done with that car. I'm done with it. I have reached out to your sponsors. They're all closed or something. They existed at one time and now closed. Is this a USAID thing or what? I don't know. I mean, I give you the sponsorships. I don't remember doing a sponsorship last night. I don't remember doing a sponsorship last night, so I'm probably gonna unleash my sponsor tonight, because otherwise he's not gonna pay me. It's gonna be all sorts of issues. So I am gonna take care of that. I am gonna take care of that. Also, I have a couple of things. I just have a lot to share with you all. All right. So with that, let's get it started. Let's get things started. This was the first thing I stumbled on last night. And actually, this happened before my show. I just didn't have a chance to see it before my show because I was busy prepping and stuff like that. But this is what I had. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, because we're starting off with Epstein. That's right, Jeffrey Epstein. We know that when Trump was running for office, he's campaigning all about transparency and releasing all these files which have remained hidden in the catacombs of the FBI, and all sorts of ridiculousness about how things can't be released to the public. And he's like, we're going to be releasing that, and JFK and RFK and MLK, everything's just going to be released, and even set up commissions to try releasing stuff. Well, Representative Anna Paulina Luna was not pleased with the progress in getting these things turned over, and accordingly, she tweeted about it yesterday, if you can still say tweeted in 2025. On February 11th and February 19th, House Oversight sent a letter. I don't feel like I have the dulcet tones tonight. Not going to kid you. That's the real drawback. I apologize to those of you who are used to falling asleep to my voice if it's not what you're looking for. I apologize. But on February 11th and February 19th, House Oversight sent a letter to the DOJ asking for status on releasing the Epstein files as well as JFK, etc. The DOJ has not responded. Now, this is Pam Bondi's DOJ. Reaching out on X because we can't seem to get a response from the AG. AG Pam Bondi, what is the status of the documents? These documents were ordered to be declassified. What the hell is happening with them? And I appreciate, look, I don't care if it's someone appointed by Trump. We need to hold these people's feet to the fire. Where are these files? These are things that should have been declassified ages ago. So yeah, I don't know what's happening. So Anna Paulina Luna doesn't know what's happening. Doge silence on releasing Epstein and JFK files is classic DC bureaucrats stonewall transparency while Americans demand answers. President Trump ordered full declassification via his January 2025 EO. Biden's delays and AG Bondi's inaction prove establishment elites fear accountability. The JFK Act of 2025 mandates disclosure within 30 days. No excuses. If they can't follow the law, replace them with leaders who will. Look, we'll give Pam a little bit more of a leash here. We'll give her a little bit more of a leash. But come on, Pam. Come on. You need to sort of come out. She hasn't said anything about this. Nothing. And what's more disconcerting, what's even more concerning, is some of the reports that are coming out as to what's going on with these files, as we see here. Douglas McGregor, I don't know who that is, but he's someone with 500,000 followers, reporting breaking FBI personnel busted destroying server evidence developing. What? And then there's more. Michael Schellenberger, he of the Twitter files release fame. He and Matt Taibbi were the two people who were responsible for releasing the Twitter files. Says FBI whistleblower GOB Actual confirmed to me that a source inside FBI said the FBI employees were destroying evidence on servers and that he informed Kash Patel. I hope he, Attorney General Pam Bondi, John Ratcliffe, Elon Musk, real Anna Paulina are preventing this. We urgently need disclosure. Everything about this is confusing the devil out of me. I'm not going to kid you. I'll explain to you why. In fact, let's explain now why. I'm no tech guru, okay? I'm not a tech expert. You all seen me boomer. I mean, for crying out loud, I can boomer a simple podcast. So I'm definitely the furthest thing from a tech guru. I'm never going to hold myself out as someone who understands how to get something done. But I have seen people who are tech experts do what they need to do. And what I don't understand at all about this entire scenario is who is purportedly deleting these emails and why are they happening now? Why would the deletions be happening now? I mean, let's face it, Biden was in power for 4 years. If these were establishment people, they could have deleted these files ages ago. Certainly, once Trump won the election in 2024, after November, and he's making statements about how he's going to be releasing files. If the release of these files was of a genuine concern to the deep state, well, why would they not have been deleting them in November? Why not be deleting them in December or early January? Why wait until Trump is sworn in to start deleting them? And even assuming that and now if you're going to tell me that it's people associated with Trump who are deleting these files, I don't understand anything about that. I don't understand how long does it take to delete files? I've seen tech people, you would think it would take like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. They make it sound as if this is like a process, like we're back in 1973 and we got to start shredding all these documents. And I guess there probably are some documents that need to physically be shredded, but doesn't it start, if you tell me it's about the server, destroying evidence on servers, that's computer stuff. Computer stuff seems to be, one would think, a lot easier and to shred and bleach or whatever. The whole process probably would take like, I don't know, all of like 40 minutes, which could have happened at any time before Pam Bondi was confirmed, before Kash Patel came in. It could have before Trump was sworn in. And now all of a sudden this whistleblower, and I don't know, I'm not saying the whistleblower is lying. I just don't understand what is happening here. How big a process is it? I'm sure there are a lot of files. And perhaps there are files in multiple locations. But when they tell me that they see him destroying evidence on servers, where are these servers? Where are they? In DC? Are they in the Hoover building? What is with this? Where are these servers, and why would this first be happening now? There was so much time to delete all of this stuff, but they haven't figured out. It's been 65 years. They haven't figured out 62 years. Finally deleting the JFK files now. It doesn't make any sense. Epstein's been dead for 5 years, 6 years. They're first deleting files now? Why would that be? Someone walk me through this because I don't understand anything about this. I told you that was going to happen. I don't understand anything about this. I don't understand why it is that this is being deleted now. I don't understand who's seeing them. Like how I picture, I mean, look, I could find you movies from the 90s called Sneakers where you see someone sitting on some little thing and just sort of like they're just sitting on a computer, just there you go, it's all done. I dug up whatever file you needed, I deleted whatever you need. It's nothing. And they're making it as if there was like, I don't know, this camp trip to go delete the files. Like, I don't even understand. How is that possible? How is that none of this makes any sense to me. And look, I'm not saying the FBI whistleblower is lying. I just don't. Why would you be deleting it now? Why wait? Why would they have waited so long? I'm looking through the chat here to see if any of you have any sort of insight as to like, oh yeah, no, they couldn't delete it until because I'd be shocked if any of you come up with anything. None of it makes sense. None of this makes sense. Now I'll tell you right now. Okay. I mean, we could speculate about Jeffrey Epstein till the cows come home, and perhaps tonight is an appropriate time for us to do that speculation. In case you're unfamiliar with Jeffrey Epstein, you fella, you just crawled out from under a rock. Or perhaps you know the name but don't know very much about like what the Jeffrey Epstein story is, other than the phrase Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, but you don't really know very much about the Jeffrey Epstein story. I can give you some background on that, and especially because I spent some time covering a criminal trial of his cohort, Ghislaine Maxwell, spelled Ghislaine but pronounced Ghislaine. So I think it's appropriate for us to talk a little bit about Jeffrey Epstein and the different theories that abound around Jeffrey Epstein. Tonight is probably a healthy time to do that, for us to explore the Jeffrey Epstein scenario. But when I see this, nothing about this makes sense. Nothing makes sense to me. I don't understand that at all. So for those of you who may have heard the phrase Jeffrey Epstein, Epstein didn't kill himself, but don't know what it is or what the story is, let me explain to you a little bit about Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire who had an island, who basically was a former math teacher who then somehow became a billionaire, and that's a big part of the mystery. And no one knows how he made his money. He had some sort of relationship with the guy who's a former owner of Victoria's Secret, who no one understands the nature of that relationship. It's very, very confusing. Back in roughly 15 years ago or so, he was arrested, and he lives in Palm Beach and is a real player as far as amongst the elites. He had a big fancy house and planes, and he would upgrade planes over the course of his life, from bigger planes, fancier planes, etc. And always hanging out with the social elites and young girls getting younger and younger, and some of them being, far too many of them seemingly being underage. Girls as young, at the trial that I went to, there's testimony about girls as young as 12 years old, and the nature of what he did, and then he had this island that he bought. In order to get to this island, you had to fly down to the Caribbean and then take a helicopter from the Caribbean to at what they call Epstein Island. So his plane was known as the Lolita Express. Many famous people have taken flights on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. These famous people include Donald Trump, include Bill Clinton, purportedly include Dershowitz, Prince Edward was good friends with him. This guy has pictures with tons of famous people. He was hobnobbing with the wealthiest people in the world, and he seemed to be sometimes loaning his plane out to some of these people here. And as I've said here before, since I said the first name I threw out was Donald Trump, his cohort was this woman named Ghislaine Maxwell, who was a socialite, who met him, I believe, in the 80s or thereabouts, as I recall. And they started developing a relationship where she later would be charged as being a conspirator to enable him to get young girls to come to his house and give him a massage, and grooming them towards doing a lot more than just a simple massage, and that these massages would take a very sexual turn. So Jeffrey Epstein was first indicted for these charges related to his handling of underage girls in 2007. He was indicted down in the Southern District of Florida. And when he was indicted, the prosecuting attorney was a guy by the name of Acosta. Acosta ends up cutting a deal with him, despite having tons of evidence. And it's a deal that mystified a lot of people. The deal was that he would get, as I recall, roughly a year in sort of quasi prison, and that they would give him basically they would agree not to charge him or Ghislaine Maxwell or another person who worked with him, whereby they would be free from ever being prosecuted and no charges could ever be brought against them. That was in roughly 2007. When this deal first was proffered and became public, the public was outraged. I mean, this was a guy who was basically grooming lots of young girls and abusing lots of young girls. And here it was, he was getting a year. And if you look at the terms of the deal, he didn't even have to be in prison. He could literally go home and then has to drive back to the prison at night. That was the nature of his deal. So, and a lot of people have been speculating for a great length of time that he was some sort of intelligence agency plant. The reason people come to this conclusion is because, well, the first, I think, thing that really tipped people off in that direction was this sweetheart deal, which seems to make no sense when the amount of evidence they had against him to give him such a ridiculously generous deal seemed outrageous. All sorts of investigations into Acosta because of the nature of the deal that he ended up cutting with Jeffrey Epstein. And there's a lot of people who speculate that the reason he got that sweetheart deal is because of his connections, whether those connections are socialites and different people in social, powerful people, whether it's because he was blackmailing people, which is one thing people are speculating about, or whether it was he was blackmailing Acosta, or maybe because he was very well connected with some intelligence agencies. And those intelligence agencies, which people speculate primarily about, are the FBI, the CIA, and Mossad. That he was some sort of Israeli agent. And people speculate that he was someone who was actually gifted by these intelligence agencies with vast sums of money for the purposes of basically trying to ensnare and control through blackmail countless powerful individuals who have a great deal of money. So he buys himself, and the thought process is he bought himself this island and engages in all this illicit activity with people who have a proclivity for that disgusting, awful appetite of young girls, or I guess probably boys, although they never really talk about boys. But as an appetite for underage kids, and to basically film them and get all this dirt on them so that they could actually leverage those persons to their own personal advantage. Where if not blackmailing them for money, certainly getting them to do your bidding under the threat of, oh my God, I might be exposed here and the world is going to spurn me, or I might end up in prison. So all of these things that no one wants to become the next P. Diddy, or this is obviously predating P. Diddy. That was in 2007. In roughly 2018, he's arrested again. And when he's arrested that time, he goes to prison. And the next thing you know, he dies in prison. All sorts of crazy questions about his death. That was purportedly a suicide. But if you understand anything about, I shouldn't use that term on YouTube, but if you understand anything about how people self-harm themselves, it was very difficult to understand how it could have been that he was working alone. The cameras are all magically off, even though he was purportedly on a watch. The nature of all sorts of questions with respect to the fact that his jaw was broken, which would require like 300 pounds of pressure, and he weighed like roughly 200 pounds. So even if he jumped up and then jumped down on it, he wouldn't have snapped his jaw wouldn't have snapped. And that the thought process is that the only way his jaw could have snapped is if someone who was strong basically put his head in that noose and yanked him down and applied more pressure than just his standard weight. All sorts of questions as to whether he even died. Some people speculate, and that the pictures of the dead person in the cell there, that there's differences in his appearance from the actual Jeffrey Epstein. There's all sorts of theories that the shape of the ear of the person in that cell is not the same shape as Jeffrey Epstein's ear, or all sorts of different theories as to what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. Is he dead? Most people believe that he is dead. And if he is dead, how did he end up that way? And were people afraid he was going to talk? And those people, and a lot of people speculate that Hillary Clinton, who has a storied history of her own involving harming others who are a threat to her or her husband, that he had a lot of dirt on Bill Clinton with respect to the Epstein flight logs. Because later on, Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman who assisted him in luring women, the underage girls, to his manor, was charged with 4 different counts of federal counts based on purported interstate activity related to getting 4 different girls to come interstate or benefit from interstate material for the purposes of enabling him to engage in this illegal activity. At the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell, where she ended up getting hit with 6 different charges, there was all sorts of different legal claims from the defense. And I'll tell you right now, it was one of the best and cleanest and most efficient trials I've ever seen. Just very, very professional work by the prosecutor, who was Maureen Comey, which was, yes, James Comey's daughter, was the lead prosecutor, and she's a very smart attorney. From the defense team, which was very professional and very shrewd, and the judge, who made one correct call after another. This was such I've never seen a judge at the end do what Judge Allison Nathan did, which was she actually complimented both sides for their professionalism, and I thought that her compliment was appropriate, because I thought that she, Judge Nathan, and both sides did an exceptional job of prosecuting the case. One of the things that bothered a lot of people, however, is that as aggressive as Maureen Comey was in trying to convict Ghislaine Maxwell, she seemed similarly aggressive and protective of having any information about who Jeffrey Epstein was dealing with kept dark. She's blacking out this thing and blacking out the flight logs. They had the pilot come in. The pilot who flew his plane, he came in and testified. And when he came in and testified, he said, I would, every time someone got on the plane and I was taking him somewhere, I had to enter where we're going, what day it was, what time we're leaving, where we're leaving from, where we're going to, and who the passengers on the plane are. And you can actually, if you scour the internet enough, find the names of these people who he flew around on that plane. And he did a pretty good job, as far as we can tell. I don't know. I can't tell you he never missed anything, because we wouldn't know. But he definitely, there's a lot of names there. Like, you're like, wow, that's pretty tough. And just some various individuals who have gained some notoriety. The 2 most significant that everyone loves talking about is the left loves talking about how Trump is on that list, and the right loves talking about how Bill Clinton is all over that list. I have seen the flight logs. I will tell you that when these flight logs are officially public and declassified, you will see that every flight that Trump took, was never to Jamaica. It was from Palm Beach to New Jersey, in Bedminster. So he was flying from basically Mar-a-Lago to his other home in New Jersey, and that he basically was using the Jeffrey Epstein's plane as you would use Uber. So, and I think there was, 6 flights, 8 flights like that, back and forth. That's my best estimate. But every time it was Jersey, Florida, Florida, Jersey, every single time. In stark contrast, Bill Clinton took trips to Southeast Asia. And I'll tell you something, I don't want to mislead anyone. I don't recall seeing a single flight to Jamaica by Bill Clinton, or to the Caribbean, which is where they would fly out from the Caribbean to Epstein Island. And in Epstein Island is where where the notorious dark stuff that should never happen anywhere on the planet was routine. So now everyone wants to know, okay, what does the FBI know about Jeffrey Epstein? How did this guy go from someone who was relatively, average means into becoming a multi-billionaire? How does that happen? Was it through blackmail? Was it, what steps? The FBI had a lengthy file on him. I mean, they prosecuted him. They brought charges against him 2 different times. So there's all sorts of questions as to what the deal is with him. A lot of people speculate Mossad is involved because Epstein is Jewish, and because Ghislaine Maxwell's father I think his name was Robert Maxwell, that he purportedly has ties to the Mossad. So people speculate that because Ghislaine, his daughter, was working with him, that there was some sort of connection there. I have no idea what the story is with respect to whether or not he has any sort of ties to any intelligence agency. I think that if you ask me, it does make sense to say that he was being run by some intelligence agency. It's to not know where he's making that kind of money. You're talking billions of dollars. If it was trades he was doing, people would know about stock trades he was making that was making him that kind of wealth. No one seems to figure out how he got that money, and the simplest answers are usually the correct ones. The reasons he would have that kind of money is if some government agency decided this is going to be an operation of ours where we're going to try and control and leverage and potentially hold up threats of blackmail over these wealthy, powerful people. So if you ask me what adds up most, to me, that adds up most. You ask me, is it the FBI, the CIA, or Mossad? I don't know. I don't know. You can make legitimate claims about any of them. Some, I think I heard once MI6 because Robert Maxwell was from England. I don't, and she was British, Ghislaine. She was raised in Britain. I've heard so many different theories about this, and frankly, any one of them could be true. And I think that one of them probably is. And I have no idea which of them is most likely to be true. That is the story with respect to Jeffrey Epstein. And that's why a lot of people are very curious who is trying to keep all this stuff secret. And why do you have whistleblowers coming out and telling us that, hey, there's documents that the FBI is shredding right now about this whole thing with respect to this the Epstein files. Why can we not get to the bottom of this? And does that more implicate the FBI, or does it implicate Mossad, or I don't know if it implicates one more than the other, to be honest with you. I don't know if it implicates, I have no idea who it may be implicating. But that's the story there. With that, I will give you one theory, which is brought down in this thread by Insurrection Barbie, aka Defiantly Free, Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Barr, the CIA, Mossad, and beyond. So this is a thread she put together trying to figure things out. Everybody knows the story of a wealthy financier and his depraved predilection for underage girls, his connections to the Clintons, to Maxwell, and our intelligence agencies. So I finally decided to do a thread. I put together my questions and my inferences. So I think she did a pretty good thread here. So let's give her the credit. Interlochen, Bill Barr connection. Yes, Bill Barr, that guy. The Interlochen is a prestigious fine arts prep school in northern Michigan. He attended camp there as a teenager. The camp says Bill Barr was not there that summer. By the way, Interlochen, I'd forgotten this when I was reading this earlier. The camp says Bill Barr was not there that summer. Pictures tell a different story. I don't know which summer are we talking about? I'm not sure. I'm going to tell you right now. The first woman who testified at the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, which no one saw this trial. There's 200 of us that saw this trial. This was in federal court. You had to actually go there, and I went there every day. The first woman who testified against Jeffrey Epstein, against Ghislaine Maxwell in New York, said that she was at Interlochen, and that is where she met Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein. And that's where she got introduced to them and was later brought down to their house. So she's actually a relatively famous individual. Like she's a soap opera star. Like she's an actress, and she looks like a soap opera star. So she testified how she sat down and met with them when she was a 14-year-old at Interlochen. It's a prestigious fine arts prep school in northern Michigan. He attended camp there as a teenager. This is talking about Bill Barr. I don't remember talking about Interlochen in a long time. Like I had never heard of this place before I heard this woman's testimony. So I will tell you that Interlochen was a hunting ground for Jeffrey Epstein. There was even testimony at the trial, and Ghislaine was convicted on 5 out of 6 charges and given roughly 30 years or so. I'm trying to remember, like 25, 20, high 20s. There was testimony that there was even a cabin which was basically dedicated to Jeffrey Epstein. Like he donated money to Interlochen, and they set aside a cabin for him where he would basically, interview different potential future bright stars of the world from Interlochen, and who in far too many cases happened to be the most attractive young girls at Interlochen. Not that this Not that witness testified that anything happened at Interlochen, but there's all sorts of really gross implications about things that went down there. And certainly that is where she testified that she had met him. And that she had met Ghislaine. Jeffrey Epstein donated $500,000 started scholarship lodge on the school's campus. He also held soirees for Interlochen alumni at his New York townhouse, and of course, he preyed on Interlochen minors. Jane, yep, that was her. An Interlochen camp alumni was one of 4 women who testified at Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. Yep, Jane is the woman I was talking about. That's not her real name. That's a pseudonym. They gave all the women who testified, they gave them pseudonyms. But this woman is like, she's from soap operas. People know who she was. Jane actually was one of the few who had someone come in and corroborate her testimony by testifying that she had told him about Jeffrey Epstein years ago. Bill Barr's father was also the headmaster of Dalton. He hired an unqualified college dropout to teach math and physics there. Strange, right? In 1990, Barr became the deputy attorney general under Bush. Barr's boss at the time was A.G. Thornburg. He's famous for covering up an interstate child trafficking ring. A book was written about the operation of the cover-up called A Franklin Scandal, a story of power brokers, child abuse, abs, and betrayal. In 2019, Barr tried to recuse himself when Epstein was arrested. This is the nature of the relationship he's got. He's got to recuse himself. Like he thinks there's a problem because he knows Jeffrey Epstein that well. Then all of a sudden he came back and said he would try the case. Then Epstein turned up dead with no answers. Here are pictures of Bill Barr. You can looking very Bill Barrian. Let me just pause and catch up on some of these chats. Good thing I'm wearing my mask that matches tracksuit since you're ill. It's smart. Smart. See, you're obviously been developing a lot. I'm seeing the personal growth thing. Great job. Use cultiproof oil and Kool-Aid for your niece. Making me laugh. Like Anna couldn't call Pam. No file's ever really gone. Someone will have it somewhere. Yeah, I think so too. Someone had to have printed this stuff out, right? The names used were precious, so it didn't destroy. Okay, that's an interesting theory, saying they held it as long as they could so they could keep using pressure. Even after the fact, like someone's using them to leverage some of these powerful people. Maybe. They're deleting now because they cannot use as blackmail. This is how the FBI has always run since Hoover kept files on potential enemies. Okay, that's at least that's a logical theory. That's a logical theory. I can accept that. You would think they wouldn't be waiting until the last 10 seconds to do it, but at least it's a theory. I'm disappointed with your voice. You forced me to fall asleep to Mr. Rogers. Sorry about that. FBI no longer needs Epstein files to blackmail people. They got the Diddy files. The Jeff's files were old. They got upgraded when they got Diddy. That's possibly true, too. Cash, FBI is investigating James Comey for running a honeypot on Trump 2016 campaign off books before Crossfire Hurricane. That's one of the stories I plan on covering, actually, tonight. I have it here somewhere. I know I got it here somewhere. We'll see if I get there. Catching up, Refuah Shlema. Thank you. That means that's a wish for healthy recovery. IceMed UC, make you feel better. This is true. It has in the past. Pronounced interlocking. Whatever. I don't remember. Could be. You're probably right. No, I'm not confusing Luna with with Laura Loomer. People think I'm some idiot. All right. Moving along. As Attorney General at the time, this is 2019, William Barr oversaw the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, which was responsible for Epstein's custody. Following Epstein's death, Barr publicly expressed outrage, calling it a failure of the prison system. He ordered an investigation into how Epstein was able to die under federal custody. 2 prison guards were later charged with falsifying records to cover up the failure to check on Epstein, but the charges were eventually dropped in 2023. Strange. Interesting. Questions remain about whether or not Epstein was murdered based on the autopsy reports and the testimony of the medical examiner hired by Epstein's brother. Additionally, some critics question whether Barr's Justice Department thoroughly investigated Epstein's connections to powerful individuals. Like I said, they worked very hard. They were so aggressive in deleting people from that Epstein list. I think I started mentioning this. I don't know if I fully expressed this. That one of the few things that Maureen Comey was chastised by the judge about was she's like, why is every name here crossed out? I don't understand. Like the only names that you have here are Jeffrey Epstein is the only name that was showing up in Ghislaine Maxwell, but every other name on the list was crossed out. And she's like, I don't understand why these names are crossed out. And Maureen Comey said, well, we want to respect the privacy of the victims. And she's like, so cross their names out. Why are the other names crossed out? And she's like, oh. She's like, yeah, I'm expecting to have this fixed within the next 24 hours. That I'm going to get a list here. And that's when we saw the names. That's when I saw Trump's name and Clinton's name. That's when that came out. And that's only because Judge Allison Nathan demanded that Maureen Comey, yes, that Maureen Comey must do it. Now, like I said, she did a great job of prosecuting Ghislaine Maxwell, but she definitely seemed dedicated towards doing everything she can short of actually exposing any powerful people who were associated with Maxwell or Epstein. Like that was the cutoff line. We're going to go after her as hard as we possibly can, but we're definitely not going to allow anything to implicate any individuals who were flying around to Epstein Island. Despite, and you have to ask why. Why would that be a thing? Why are you protecting these people? Why are you so afraid for them? You want to protect the victims, the girls, the underage girls. Power to you. Totally respect that. There's no reason for their names to be public. What is the reason that they're all being kept out from, especially when you would think that would only motivate the jury to want to convict her? Like, wow, she was working with these powerful people. It didn't make any sense. The other question many people have is, how did Epstein get so rich? Because he was a failed mathematics teacher. I think he was wasn't at Cooper Union. Where was he? The other prestigious New York school. I don't know. MIT. Only question many people have is, how did Epstein get so rich? Because he was a failed mathematics teacher and college dropout who all of a sudden became a multi-billionaire through investments. Jeffrey Epstein was the first accused of sexually abusing underage girls in the early 2000s. In 2008, he reached a controversial plea deal with federal prosecutors in Florida, led by then U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta. Under the agreement, Epstein pleaded guilty to state charges of soliciting a minor for prostitution, served only 13 months in a county jail under a work release program, and avoided federal prosecution. Oh, is that what it was? It was a state thing? Excuse me. I'm going to just pause for a second so I can address an issue I'm dealing with. My face. I should have brought a word from our sponsor for that one, right? This deal, later criticized as overly lenient, shielded many of Epstein's powerful associates from scrutiny. However, one thing to note is that the prosecutor was not able to get help from any of the rich and powerful players at the time except Trump, who voluntarily spoke with him without subpoena and helped him bring the charges forward. The CIA connection. Barr worked for the CIA in the 1970s. During law school, Barr worked for the CIA from 1973 to 1977. His role was in the Office of Legislative Counsel, where he handled legal matters related to CIA's interactions with Congress. He also worked on intelligence policy issues, helped shape CIA legal strategies. George Bush was CIA director. George Herbert Walker Bush, as in the first Bush, was CIA director in 1976 while Barr was working at the agency. Bush later became president from 89 to 93 and appointed Barr as AG in 1991. Some speculate that Barr's long-standing relationship with Bush and the intelligence community helped him rise in government. While AG under Bush, Barr played a key role in advising Bush to pardon key figures involved in the Iran-Contra affair, a CIA-led covert arms operation. He was nicknamed Coverup General for helping shield intelligence officials from legal consequences. Like, that's just the nature of who Bill Barr is. Barr oversaw the Justice Department and Bureau of Prisons when Jeffrey Epstein died in custody in 2019. Some suspect intelligence involvement in Epstein's activities, and Barr's CIA background has fueled theories that he may have played a role in suppressing certain details, that Barr was the one who stopped certain details from coming out. Epstein's financial career is shrouded in mystery. Despite lacking a clear background in finance, no one knows how he would get so good at investments. He built a network of extremely powerful clients, including billionaires, politicians, and royalty. How the hell would he get these people to start giving him tons of money? His connection to Les Wexner, the billionaire behind L Brand's Victoria's Secret. I knew it was I forgot the name Wexner. Remains unexplained. Epstein had near total control over Wexner's finances, which led to speculation that Epstein may have been involved in intelligence-related financial activities, such as money laundering or off-the-books operations. So, yeah, this relationship with Les Wexner, people speculate that maybe he was soaking up some of his money. We don't know. It could be this blackmail that he was using to get vast sums of money from Les Wexner, who was, because of Victoria's Secret, a billionaire. And I think that situation changed at some point. Let's talk about the Mossad connection. Ehud Barak, former prime minister of Israel, had business ties with Epstein, was photographed entering his residence. Ghislaine Maxwell, a British socialite and Epstein's close confidant, Maxwell played a central role in his network, allegedly recruiting and grooming young girls for sexual abuse. And not allegedly, she was convicted in 2021. So it's not simply allegedly. She was convicted of grooming girls for. Ehud Barak is an Israeli politician, former prime minister of Israel from 1999 to 2001, and retired IDF general. He also served as Israel's Minister of Defense and held various high-ranking military and political positions. Business and financial ties. Barak, this is Ehud Barak, not the Barak you know, had business dealings with Jeffrey Epstein, including investments in Carbine, a technology company that Epstein funded. Photographs and visits. Barak was photographed entering Epstein's New York townhouse in 2016, years after Epstein's 2008 conviction. Barak admitted knowing Epstein, but claimed he never participated in any illegal activities and was unaware of Epstein's crimes. I'll tell you this much. During the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, I do not remember seeing the name Ehud Barak on any of those flights. And I think I would have remembered it because I knew Ehud Barak was former prime minister of Israel. I don't remember seeing him on any of the Epstein flight logs, but I could be mistaken. I don't think I did. I don't think I'm mistaken. Like because they just sort of put one word. But if I saw Barack, the first thing I would have thought was Barack Obama. And then if they clarified and said not Barack Obama, it would have been it would have stuck in my brain. So that's why I think that I don't think he's on those flight logs. Don't hold me to it, but I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that he wasn't on those flight logs. There have been rumors and speculation that Ehud Barak worked with former U.S. President Barack Obama to undermine or oust Benjamin Netanyahu. There was money funneled through USAID to anti-Netanyahu PAC by Obama's State Department when they wanted to oust Netanyahu so they could complete the Iran nuclear deal. So this is back when Obama was around, and he wanted to get that nuclear deal done. So Barack thought that Netanyahu would get in the way of that arms deal, where he had given them billions of dollars. Obama has been one of Netanyahu's strongest political rivals, and there were tensions between Obama and Netanyahu during Obama's presidency, particularly regarding Iran and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Former Mossad officials have criticized Netanyahu's leadership, particularly his handling of domestic politics and judicial overhauls. Former Mossad chief Tamir Pardo accused Netanyahu of attempting to undermine Israeli democracy. Ehud Barak, as a former IDF chief of staff and prime minister, had a strong military background and was seen as a capable security strategist. He was deeply involved in intelligence operations, including covert missions against Israel's enemies. Some intelligence officials trusted his military expertise more than Netanyahu's political instincts. Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, had ties to both Mossad and Ehud Barak. Maxwell was suspected of being Mossad asset or operative. This I had heard before also. Using his global media empire, Mirror Group newspapers, he was a very wealthy guy, Robert Maxwell, to support Israeli intelligence interests. He allegedly played a role in the Promise software scandal, where Mossad reportedly planted a bug software in foreign intelligence agencies to spy on them. His connections to high-level Israeli officials suggest he had a privileged status in Israel's security apparatus. After his mysterious death, so we know that he's got these ties here to these Mossad folks. After his mysterious death in 1991, Maxwell was given a state funeral in Israel, attended by 6 former Mossad chiefs, then Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir, future Prime Minister Ehud Barak, top Israeli military intelligence officials. This level of respect suggests he was deeply connected to Mossad. He's definitely got he definitely has powerful friends, that's for sure. If he's not an operative, he certainly has very powerful friends working, when he died in 91. Ehud Barak was a high-ranking military commander and late prime minister from 1999 to 2001. During the 1980s and early 1990s, Barak served in top Israeli military intelligence roles and would have access to covert operations involving Maxwell. I thought you were saying he was connected directly to Maxwell. And I know she's speculating, so she's probably just laying out different possibilities because no one knows. Nobody knows. And she's doing a good job of fleshing out where there might be another tie. Some reports suggest Maxwell had financial and logistical ties to Israeli defense and intelligence projects that Barak oversaw. Maxwell was a key player in selling Promise software, a bug program that Mossad allegedly used to spy. Some intelligence sources believe Ehud Barak was aware of or involved in aspects of these operations as a high-ranking military figure. Remaining questions and things that make you go, Epstein's interactions with law enforcement, his unusual financial history, and his ability to avoid serious consequences for years suggest he may have had intelligence ties. Exactly what I was explaining to you when I was giving you the introduction here. His unusual amounts of money and his ability to get away with doing this stuff for years and years, and then when he gets busted on it, getting the most generous slap on the wrist imaginable. It makes you think that he's connected to intelligence agencies. His 2008 plea deal and reported roles as an FBI informant indicate he had some level of cooperation with the government. And this is what makes you think FBI, because why would the American government be giving him such great sweetheart deals if he's working for Mossad? His connections to world leaders in the surveillance setup suggest he may have had blackmail material, a tactic often used in intelligence operations. His mysterious death in 2019, the failures of the Bureau of Prisons raised suspicion that someone wanted him silenced. The connections that we know are Bill Barr, Ehud Barak, Clinton, FBI, CIA, and Mossad. So there you go. There you go. What is the actual story here? I don't know. Lots of people were tied to Epstein, though. People who are still powerful today. Epstein donated thousands of dollars to Chuck Schumer over a span of 5+ years. Yeah. He was greasing wheels. And then we have this person. I'm not sure who this is. I don't know if this is a whistleblower or someone talking about the whistleblower. I don't know. This is GOB, whoever, talking about a whistleblower he spoke with. But let's check out this report from Benny Show.
Maybe give us a closer in perspective as to what the subversion is happening inside of the building right now. I mean, it's obviously you're going to have like an antibody reaction to somebody
Absolutely.
like Cash.
I'll give you a big one that I heard recently, which was already passed on, is that there are FBI servers that are sort of standalone, and people inside the FBI have been working night and day to destroy files on these servers. And I was told that once these files are destroyed, the way they are set up, that even Elon Musk could not restore them. So that's happening right now as we speak. That's happening with Kash Patel being the director. It was happening before he got there. And so that subversion, like I said, started immediately. And it's
these people who are doing that, they need to be prosecuted. That's obstruction. That's your classic 18 U.S.C. 1512 obstruction. I could bring those charges, but I've never prosecuted anyone before. 18 U.S.C. 1512C. Classic obstruction, because you're concerned that people are going to be prosecuted now under Kash Patel.
It's only going to continue. These people, and here's another example. I was told last week, right out of the gates, Kash Patel came out and said 1,500 people, 500, you're going to Alabama. You're still going to be headquarters personnel. You're going to Alabama. 1,000 of you, you're going out to the field. He said this long before the election, even, that he said if he was in charge, he would say, let cops be cops, and so go out and be cops. Already, people are saying we are not going to comply with that. We are going to make it seem as if we transferred. We're going to do what they call, quote unquote, paper transfers, and we're not going to obey these lawful orders. I don't know if you heard Stephen Miller in the last few days. He came out and has given a great civics lesson on Article 2 of the Constitution. The FBI falls under the executive branch, and you have these career bureaucrats who say, no, we answer to no one. Well, hopefully that's going to change, and I think under Kash Patel and Dan Bongino leadership, I think it will. But they've got to root out this subversion first.
Somebody who works inside of the West Wing came up to us in a private setting when we were in D.C. and said, "You would not believe the number of times that my office has to be swept for bugs."
It's crazy.
And
what the heck is happening? Who's putting these bugs down? I don't understand why they can't get rid of these people.
Inside the White House has to be swept by agencies to figure out if there's electronic monitoring that's happening to us on a daily basis. It's crazy. Any idea what's on the servers that's so damning that it has to be siloed into such a secure facility with the lack of redundancy or capacity for anybody to go through and sort of from digital forensics, right? You can uncover most data that's deleted, you can uncover it in some capacity. So somebody's worked very hard to make sure that this data that you're talking about can be deleted and destroyed forever. Any idea what it is?
No idea on what it is. I can only speculate, but you mentioned the Epstein list. I'd imagine it's cases like that. It's intel cases that are very siloed, very secretive. And I'm sure there's probably even information regarding the FBI's own subversive measures against Americans, against American politicians, for instance. We learned over the last few days that the Oval Office was bugged, and they took out the Resolute desk to inspect it more. Who's doing that type of thing, Benny? It's going to be, if they're operating at all as they should be, it's going to be the FBI, because they're the domestic agency. Now, is it beyond the CIA or NSA playing a role? No, not at all, because I think all of these agencies at this point do not have the best interest of the American public in mind. That's something that the Trump administration is trying to change, but it's going to be an uphill battle, I believe, for the entire term.
That's astonishing. They have to sweep the Oval Office because I don't understand this. What's happening? It's crazy. So I am curious about your thoughts. Do you guys think that Epstein is U.S. intelligence, Mossad, or not an asset of anyone? U.S. intelligence could be FBI, CIA, whatever. What do you think? I'm going to put a poll up here because I am curious. I am curious about your thoughts on that. Let me do a little poll. Start a poll. Let's start a poll. I'll put both up there. Also, I saw someone saying both. Epstein was most likely Mossad, U.S. intelligence, both of neither. I'm going to check over in Rumble, see what you guys are speculating over there. While Bulldozer says, Joe, just want to say I appreciate your diverse analysis. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Appreciate that. You kind of filled the void from the nose pope. Well, I'm not trying to be him, and I think people recognize that my style is very distinctive from his, but I can definitely understand why people would make that connection. I got into the Rumble Creator Program today. All right, good for you. Maybe I'll hit the goal of 1,000 followers by April. You go get them. Go get them. You guys need to check out Bill Dozer 74. Is awesome. Maybe invite me on the show sometime. I'll hang out with you one night. That if you're interested, I'd certainly be happy to help. So where was I at? Where was I? Okay. All right. Check out and see where my poll is going. A lot of you thinking both. A lot of you are thinking both. Could be. I don't know how often there's joint operations like that, but definitely could be. Definitely could be. Oh, you see, I knew there were so many things I forgot to cover. So many things I forgot to mention in my description because so much has been happening. So much has been happening in the last 24 hours. And I'm sure some of these stories you have not yet heard. Some of these stories you've not yet heard. Like, excuse me. California agrees to drop parts of social media hate, disinformation, extremist speech law challenged by Musk's ex. Under the settlement, this is Prodigal. This is a friend of mine. We follow each other. Smart attorney, very base guy. Highly recommend you guys follow Prodigal the Third. Under the settlement, social media platforms will not be required to tell state officials how they define hateful, extremist, and misleading speech, and California is barred from requiring a platform to disclose data on how often it flags, removes posts that violate its content moderation rules. Musk sued approximately 2 years ago, stopped the law from taking effect, claiming it violated speech protections under the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment. X had won an appeal to block part of California's content moderation law approximately 6 months ago before the settlement was reached. So look at that. Look at that. Good job. Good job, Elon. Whew. Told it's gonna be rough tonight. It's gonna be rough tonight. Are you sure it's Interlaken? Interlaken. I think you're probably right. You're from Michigan, and it's in Michigan, so you probably know. You probably You probably know. Where was I? Oh, I know where I was. Let's talk about RFK. RFK. Let's talk about RFK. Let's talk about
members have taken
back. RFK.
Today, over 100 members of Congress support a bill to fund Ozempic with Medicare at $1,500 a month. Most of these members have taken money from the manufacturer of that product.
So members of Congress took money from the company that produces Ozempic so that Medicare, and now Medicare is charging $1,500 a month. Charged and paying. So if you're on Medicare, you want Ozempic, Medicare will cover and pay $1,500 per month. A lot of people want to use Ozempic because it reportedly helps people lose weight and suppressing your appetite. So it's very, very popular Ozempic right now. And yeah.
A European company called Novo Nordisk. As everyone knows, once a drug is approved for Medicare, it goes to Medicaid. And there's a push to recommend Ozempic for Americans as young as 6 over a condition, obesity, that is completely preventable and barely even existed 100 years ago. Since 74% of Americans are obese, the cost of all of them, if they take their Ozempic prescriptions, will be $3 trillion a year. This is a drug that has made Novo Nordisk the biggest company in Europe. It's a Danish company, but the Danish government does not recommend it. It recommends a change in diet to treat obesity and exercise. Virtually Novo Nordisk's entire value is based upon its projections of what Ozempic is going to sell to Americans. For half the price of Ozempic, we could purchase regeneratively raised organic agriculture, or organic food for every American, 3 meals a day, and gym membership for every obese American. Why are members of Congress doing the bidding of this Danish company?
Why? Why indeed? Why indeed?
Instead of standing up for American farmers and children. Because Novo Nordisk is one of the largest funders of medical research, the media and politicians and the medical schools all go along with them. For 19 years, solving the childhood chronic disease crisis has been the central goal of my life. And for 19 years, I have prayed to God every morning to put me in a position to end this calamity. I believe we have the opportunity for transformational bipartisan change to transform American health, to hypercharge our human capital, to improve our budget, and I believe to save our spirits and our country.
I really want Trump to implement a policy that he implemented near the end of his first term. It was during the last few months after the pandemic broke out. There were 2 health policies that he introduced. They were executive orders that he passed that were, I think both of them were ripped down by Biden the day that he came in. I know the second one I'm going to tell you about definitely was ripped down on January 20th, 2021. But I think the first one also. The first one was right to try. So he implemented that, someone who is dealing with an EO, that anyone who's dealing with a life-threatening disease or terminal disease, that they have a right to try whatever types of treatment they think are their best options, irrespective of whether or not it has FDA approval. This is something that if you just care about, having a heart, you would think, why would you not? This person is terminal illness. They're going to die. Why would anyone stand in the way of that? But then you remember that the Biden administration hates Americans. So it wouldn't be surprising to me. I don't recall if that was ripped up or not by Biden. But that was his right to try policy. Then he had an America First policy with respect to pharmaceutical companies. And this I know that Biden ripped up. And that basically said that whatever prices are being charged by pharmaceutical companies, the lowest price they charge internationally must be met here in America. You cannot charge Americans more than you're charging people in Libya or Cameroon or Middle Earth or anywhere else on the planet. But that you have to actually charge them what you have to match for America, whatever is the lowest price that you sell it at internationally, which is such a logical policy because, why should Americans be paying more? Now, I think that might have only applied to American pharmaceutical companies. I don't know if it applied internationally or not, but the notion that we're paying $1,500 a month for a drug that should be far cheaper for that, or that Medicare is agreeing to that, is so outrageous. Such a complete ripoff of the American taxpayer. And people look at it as like, oh, wow, look, we need our Medicare because they need a $1,500 a month drug. And look, some people might really need Ozempic. They might need to, emergency medications to help them lose weight. Others might be doing it for cosmetic reasons. Whatever the reason is that someone manages to get Medicare to fund it, there's no freaking reason it should be $1,500 a month. It costs like $100 to produce it. It makes absolutely no sense. But when politicians have no motivation or incentive, quite the contrary, they have incentives to raise up higher prices. These are crooks. They're thieves. They're stealing. Who are they stealing from? From us, the taxpayer. They're stealing from our grandchildren by having us print more money. They're thieves. That's what they are. There's no other word for it. Congress. I'm sorry. These freaking deep state establishment congressional folk are thieves. Just outright thieves. We need names. I need freaking names. These people need to be exposed. I hope RFK comes out there, gives a list of all the politicians who are making money off of Ozempic and the ridiculously outrageous prices that Navratilova, whatever that stupid Danish company is ripping off Medicare for, with the blessing of Congress. What a ridiculous situation this is. It's just a completely raiding American coffers, and frankly, raiding the future because we can't afford it. We're so over budget. They don't give the slightest freak about that. Man, I need a break here. Hold on a second. I'm gonna mute so you don't hear the horn. I should blow the horn. That'd be funny. Let's try and time this. Oh my God. I don't know if I should give such a clear vision of my nose when I'm blowing it. I'm sick. Leave me be. What am I supposed to do? I couldn't take tonight off. There's too much going on in this country. I can't take tonight off. This is just, I'm so unprofessional. It's gonna give brand new meaning. Anytime now in the future I blow that horn, you're all gonna remember that moment right there. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? Right? It gives me license to laugh at other people, the fact that I can laugh at myself. So, but that's not all we have about the medical ridiculousness that's happening here. No. Before we move away, I saw this ad, which this was crazy. This was crazy. There's so much corruption in our health industry.
Hey, I heard Elon and the Doge team started looking at Medicare, and I found something for them. This medication is pirfenidone. Medicare filled it 85,000 times in 2022 at an average cost of $8,000 per prescription.
$8,000 per prescription. My God.
They spent $680 million on that one drug in just 1 year. However, at my pharmacy, which is a cost plus pharmacy, meaning we don't take insurance, that same prescription would only cost $200. If we filled all 85,000 prescriptions, it would cost $17 million total. That means Medicare is overpaying by $663 million every year. How do they do that? Well, Medicare contracts with pharmacy benefits managers to tell them how much they should be paying for medications. The problem is the pharmacy benefits manager gets paid a percentage of the cost. That means the higher the price, the higher their cut. They aren't incentivized to lower the cost. They're incentivized to raise the cost, and they are not shy.
I need to hear that one more time because I'm a little confused by this. I want to just make sure I understand this properly and that we all understand this properly. I understand his conclusion that they're incentivized to raise the cost, but I sort of want to understand the mechanics a little bit more here. And it could be that my brain is fogged because of congestion, but I just want to hear that one more time.
$200. If we filled all 85,000 prescriptions, it would cost $17 million total. That means Medicare is overpaying by $663 million every year. How do they do that? Well, Medicare contracts with pharmacy benefits managers to
Pharmacy benefits managers
tell them how much they should be paying for medications.
tell them. Pharmacy benefits managers. Okay.
The problem is the pharmacy benefits manager gets paid a percentage of the cost.
Why would that be? Why would that possibly be? Is that a private entity? I don't understand that.
That means the higher the price, the higher their cut. They aren't incentivized to lower the cost. They're incentivized to raise the cost, and they are not shy about it. So it's an easy solution for the Doge team. Cancel the PBM contracts and bring the actual costs back into the equation instead of those nonsense made-up prices that the PBMs use. If you want to see if the PBMs have been raising the cost of your medication, go to forestparkpharmacy.com and look at our price checker to see if we can save you. See ya.
Wow. Wow. There's so much corruption in our health industry. There's so much corruption. Big pharma, big as this. Oh my God, they are so vile. They are so vile. Wow. Wow. Unbelievable. Isn't that crazy? I saw that. I was like, I have to shut up my audience. People need to know what's happening. They need to know. My people need to know. You need to know. Let me check on my, I want to see where you guys were at on my little poll that was going on here. Epstein was most likely. The choices were Mossad, U.S. intelligence, both, neither. 15% say Mossad, 16% say U.S. intelligence. The winner is both by a landslide, taking the majority here. 56% saying both U.S. intelligence and Mossad, and only 13% saying neither. So, wow. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know what that is. There's some games that have courtroom sections like Ace Attorney and Dangan Rampa. Be fun to see a boomer play those. Does this you under a different name? Is this you, Malcolm? There's a guy, Malcolm, who's always asked me to play Ace Attorney. He's always asked me to play Ace Attorney. Dag nabbit. He's hiding his face here, Mr. Beard. I don't know. Is that you, Malcolm? CIA threatening to give Russia state secrets and blame Donald J. Trump. Yeah. So I'm glad you brought this up. I actually had seen this and then wasn't going to cover this tonight, but I'm glad you brought it up. Trump. I do want to cover this. Yeah. So I'm glad you brought this up. I actually had seen this and then wasn't going to cover this tonight. I hear me. Trump. I do want to cover this. Yeah. So, wow, that shouldn't have happened. I sound terrible. I sound awful. So let's cover this real quick because this is important. CNN now says that top leadership at the CIA are worried anti-Trump personnel may be motivated to sell out America to a foreign power. In other words, the people who created the Russia hoax might now sell America's secrets to Russia, and then CNN will be there to blame Trump. Unbelievable. This is from their report where they said on the CIA's 7th floor, which that's the notorious floor in the Hoover building. I think, no, not the Hoover building. That's it, yeah. Home top leadership. Some officers are also quietly discussing how mass firings and the buyouts already offered to staff risk creating a group of disgruntled former employees who might be motivated to take what they know to a foreign intelligence service. What the hell? What? That's the concern? That they're going to commit treason? Literally commit treason? Unbelievable. Let's check out this video. I haven't seen this yet. I pulled this up before, but it's only a minute long. So let's see what we got.
All right, brothers and sisters, you are not going to believe what we're about to talk about. We're going to do more of it on my YouTube channel later today, Langley Outdoors on YouTube if you're not over there. But guys, you have got to follow this account, share this information out, because what we are about to talk about is so far beyond treason than
oh my God, get to it. Get to it.
Ever thought would be possible. We now have people inside the CIA who are openly saying that if Trump and Elon don't stop going after all the corruption in the deep state, that they're just going to take the information of knowledge of their country and they're going to sell it to the highest foreign bidder. Like it's some sort of open market, free market system where you take your internal secrets of the United States, your country, and you trade it out. Because after all, you can use that as a benefit to yourself by trading out your country. The level of treason on this,
yeah,
guys, I'm going to do the video in about an hour. Make sure you like this, you follow this, and you share this because I
don't do that nearly enough. The whole like, share. Hey, look, I got to tell you all, please like, share, subscribe. I'm bleeding subs. If you haven't noticed, you're probably not noticing as your attention to is probably not as neatly attuned to it as mine is. But I am down to 100,800 or thereabouts in the 800s. I was at 102. But I've been slowly siphoning away. So please double check whether or not you've been bled. You've been bled. It's very possible you have been. So yeah, I don't do that nearly enough. I don't know who this guy is. Brandon Langley. Yeah. Well, anyway, he does that better than I do. So please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. Drop a comment. It's the only way that new people find me. It's how you bring new friends in. New friends. Makes for more interesting content, right? I mean, a massive part of this whole deal is the chat that's going on there. I know that. I know that. That's for sure. Live with Brian. Both Epstein and Robert Maxwell were involved in compromising science. Maxwell bought publishing for scientific journals, while Epstein collected scientists Pinker, Gates, Weinstein, et al. When you say he bought Weinstein, I know there's an interview where Weinstein. I saw him on one of these interview shows where he was talking about the one time he met Epstein and how ridiculous he thought everything that Epstein was. So I'm not sure if you're talking about Brett or Eric Weinstein. I can never tell those two apart. I'm frankly not even positive which of them I saw in this interview. But he was describing Jeffrey Epstein and the ridiculousness. He's like, it doesn't even make sense why someone would, he's trying to act like a supervillain. Everything, like, he's like, the coffee table was a coffin in his house. Like, who does that? You're only doing that if you're trying, like, cartoonishly to seem evil. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And he's like, nothing about this made sense. Like, if I was trying to make him a CIA guy, I wouldn't be so overt and trying to make him seem villainous like that. It's just weird. It's just weirdness. So I don't know that Weinstein didn't seem like he was in his employ. He seemed more bemused and confused by what Epstein was. But who knows? I don't know. I'm just telling you what I remember seeing. Checking Mark Cuban's info about PBMs. They're basically the middleman that makes a ton of the money. I'm behind. What are your thoughts on why Maxwell wasn't mentioned in any indictments until after Epstein's death? Well, first they went after Epstein. Then they cut a deal where basically they said that they're not going to press charges against. They gave immunity to Ghislaine Maxwell as part of the plea deal with Epstein. When that fell apart, well, no, not when that fell apart. That was in 2008. So that plea deal they worked out with Epstein, which was the ridiculous sweetheart deal they gave him, part of the sweetheartiness of it was that Ghislaine Maxwell and another cohort, I don't remember her name, were given immunity from ever being prosecuted. Then in 2018, 2019, when he's arrested again and then commits Harry Carey in prison, allegedly, that no one, whatever, but that he's offed in prison. There was a very strong public outcry for blood, that the American public at large felt cheated of their vengeance for this heinous wrong committed against innocent young children. So I think that's what spurred the charges to be brought against Ghislaine Maxwell. I think if he ends up getting prosecuted, I don't think charges would end up necessarily coming against Ghislaine Maxwell. I think it was retribution, and it was like, we need to find someone to punish, and she was technically a conspirator here, and certainly not as alluring a collar or vindication as Jeffrey Epstein himself, but it's like extracting some sort of justice. When I was covering the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, that's how people seemed to be very intrigued by, because they felt like they wanted some measure of justice for the wrongs that Jeffrey Epstein had committed. So I think that she was, in that sense, I don't want to say scapegoat, because she was complicit, but that the fact that they went after her as hard as they did was because there was no Jeffrey Epstein to prosecute. In fact, when they prosecuted her, one of the claims that her attorneys made, and I learned something new when I was covering this trial that I never knew before. I thought it was the most interesting thing, a legal issue as far as like, how are you able to prosecute her when she was promised immunity, and that's what her attorneys moved to dismiss, saying she's got immunity pursuant to the Epstein deal. She's expressly exonerated from all these charges. And Judge Allison Nathan pointed to several cases, several precedents, which say that when you get immunity from one prosecuting attorney in one federal district, it is limited to that federal district. So the immunity only binds the Southern District of Florida, but that the Southern District of Florida didn't have the power to restrict the Southern District of New York from prosecuting her. And that's why, even though she was granted immunity by Acosta when he was in the Southern District of Florida, that the Southern District of New York still had the power to come after her. And then they had to tie everything back to New York, because all the activities happened, or most of the activities happened in Florida. So in order to prosecute her in New York, you need to have bases as to how it is that that these crimes were committed and had sufficient nexus to the state of New York. This was very tricky. It was very, very tricky. I mean, with Jane, the first woman who testified, she actually had gone back and forth from Florida. Most of the activities, everyone talked about how they were in Palm Beach in Florida giving him these massages, and that he'd give them $200 a pop, and literally, and or $400 sometimes, and he would give, you know, double if you brought a friend with you, and had them recruiting, and all the different and with respect to Jane, they tied her into New York because she had flown into here, because Jeffrey and Ghislaine had flown in with her to New York to go to a Broadway show, to go to The Lion King. In fact, one of the things that came up during the course of the trial was an issue as to whether or not The Lion King was when it started playing, and statements that she had made and the timing on that. The next woman who came in and testified was also a model. This one was actually the first one, Jane, was soap opera actress. The second one was an international model who met Ghislaine in England, and she actually testified about how she met Jeffrey Epstein in his New York townhouse, and was surprised that all of a sudden Ghislaine just basically shoved him into a room, and the next thing she knows, she's standing there and he's laying on a massage table wearing just a towel, and you can just picture the creepy 70s music playing in the background. Third woman who testified, how'd she tied to New York? That was the tricky one. That was Marianne. Marianne was someone who basically was left out of life. I mean, her life was destroyed. A life of drugs, and everyone in her family going to prison at some point or another. And she looked like, she was like, if you do the math, like 30, and she looked like she was 70. Like just run down. She looked like just the crack addict, like, and just beaten up by life, like just completely miserable. You couldn't look at her and not feel terrible empathy for her. And she gave on redirect the most powerful testimony I ever saw. But I don't want to rehash that. I actually have that on my videos. You can see from my reporting on that. So she had never left Florida, Marianne. The way they tied her into New York is because this was, to me, the most ludicrous thing in the world. Because there was tickets to a concert that had been airmailed in Florida, that had been sent by overnight courier from New York. So that was using interstate commerce, because they had a real problem trying to establish how do you have interstate commerce when the victim here never left Florida. She was 12 and her mother wouldn't let her leave the state at 13. She wasn't even sure about her own age because she was so addled. But so they got her on the interstate commerce for that. And then there was Annie Farmer. She was the only one, I think, who testified under her own name. And she was talking about how she met with them in New Mexico. And I don't remember how they tied into New York. So that was the four. That was the four people that testified. But the reason they went after Ghislaine Maxwell is because they didn't have Jeffrey Epstein anymore. Because once he was gone, they were like, we need to find someone that we can convict for this. And she should have been brought up, but I think that's where I think that was the genesis of that. Now that we see the circular pattern of fraud, Congress funds the budget. Who funds the three-letter agencies, who fund the NGOs, who fund the Congress? Hopefully everyone understands how an 8-year congresswoman can amass $81 million. This is how we fix Washington. We need to figure out how the cycle of money is being spun. This is how we fix Washington. You're correct. And then once you figure it out, you can start identifying how to change our laws to stop this from happening. But there is definitely a cycle of money which is disturbing, and they're getting rich, and it's off of our backs. So, yeah, I don't know if anyone is convictable for what they've done. If they are, I hope to hell Cash Patel and Pam Bondi go after them. If they're not, we need to be changing some of our laws to stop this from happening, because this is just stupid. This is just we have a stupid system, like just a retarded system, that enables your congressional leaders to get fat by serving in Congress. That doesn't make like tell me that you don't care about having a healthy country. I'll tell you, I mean, it's like literally let's like make it simple as pie for corruption to happen. That's what we need to be stopping. Duckfat says those were USAID funded subscriptions. You never actually had them. Oh, were they? I don't know. You could be correct. You may be right. I may be crazy. Oh, 81 billion as an Omar. She doesn't have no $81 billion. I don't believe Omar has $81 billion for a second. I think you must be million. You must be million. That I would believe. I can't believe she has 81. I can't believe she has 81B. That doesn't make no sense to me. That's a lot of money. That's a freak load of money. But yeah, 81 million makes no sense either. Now it's time for a word from our sponsor. It's time for a word from our sponsor. I just need to pull up my sponsorship. Here it is. Life can throw us some sharp twists and turns. Nobody knows. Tomorrow is never guaranteed for anyone. Isn't it important to you that you take care of your loved ones, take care of your family, ensure that even when you're gone, they're properly provided for? For all your life insurance needs, I urge you to consider Confederate Family. Confederate Family, which has a very unfortunate name and is not remotely at all racist, has been providing life insurance for quite some time. I'm not sure exactly how many years. I'm going to urge you to please consider Confederate Family, the not at all racist life insurance company.
A man fills many roles in his lifetime: provider, protector, master of the house. As a father, you have a vital role in your family's life. They depend on you to be there. We help to make sure you can fulfill that promise because, no matter what they call you, at the end of the day, you know you're just Dad.
Please consider, if you have life insurance needs, please consider using I was doing so well. I was doing so well. I'm sorry. I was doing so well. Sorry, I just remembered something funny. Anyway, back to my sponsorship. Please consider using Confederate Family, the not at all racist life insurance carrier. Where were we? Not that. Wow. I gotta warn you, once a year. Man, it's really probably once every 2 years. During the winter, I'll get very sick. This happens really, I don't think it happened last year. I think it's every other year or so. I'll get really sick for like 4 days. So, what do you mean sick again? That's not true. That's not true. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means. Congress is, you might have noticed that one of the stories we keep covering here on this show on a regular basis is how there seems to be day after day some new federal judge who thinks that his will is far more significant than the will of the president of the United States and will thwart via TRO whatever new executive order is issued by President 47. Congress has noticed it. If you haven't, well, Congress certainly has. And they are looking to take aim and try and stop that from happening. As reported here by Mario, Representative Darrell Issa has introduced the No Rogue Rulings Act to stop federal judges from issuing nationwide injunctions that derail a president's agenda. Instead, rulings would only apply to the parties in the case, no more one-judge veto power over the White House. Trump's policies have been hit with over 50 lawsuits challenging more than 60 executive actions. Issa says the founders could never have envisioned judges and part of the legislative branch teaming up to tie down the executive and disempower the people. The current judge shopping climate in the United States judge shopping climate, like we'll shop for a new judge. The current judge shopping climate in the United States amounts to judicial tyranny and a weaponization of the courts. The bill has strong GOP backing, expected to pass and land on Trump's desk. Really? 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 Because I think you're going to need, to me, this is filibusterable. Look, if you're not familiar with how we get like a law passed here, you need to have, unless it's something having to do with financing the government, you need to get 60 senators. Now, if this bill is restricted exclusively to things related to financing, potentially you could try to avoid the filibuster. But if not, if it's just a broad thing saying that that no judge can weigh in with the TRO, that will have impact beyond their own jurisdiction or the parties who are bringing the suit. I think you might need 60. Maybe they could tailor it down to make it about money and try and make it 50. But I think you're going to need at least seven Democrats, and that's if you get all 53 Republicans, many of whom are far too squishy. Many Republicans are far too squishy. Yes, I'm looking at you, Mitch McConnell. I'm looking at you, Lisa Murkowski. I'm looking at you, Susan Collins. These three knuckleheads here who seem very disinclined towards any type of America First policy seem like they're really kind of questionable as whether you can rely on them. So I don't know if we're going to get this, but Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt says, we believe these judges are acting as judicial activists rather than honest arbiters of the law. And they've issued at least 12 injunctions against this administration in the past 14 days, often without citing any evidence or grounds for the lawsuits, and worse yet, not giving any sort of relief, not giving any sort of injunction bond like they're required to. This is part of a larger concerted effort by Democrat activists and nothing more than a continuation of the weaponization of justice against President Trump. So there you go. Let's check this out.
Much more than that. It seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. And we want to weed out the corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that. I always abide by the courts, and then I'll have to appeal it. But then what he's done is he slowed down the momentum.
For more, let's bring in Article 3 project founder and president Mike Davis. Mike, it's great to have you. And it does slow down the momentum, even if ultimately the outcome is what you're looking for. For example, just one of the cases that's pending now and has had an impact is dealing with the federal employee buyout program that is now paused. It's a case that's taking place in Boston. The judge there, Judge O'Toole, was appointed by Bill Clinton. He's not wrong in the fact that the venues that are being chosen and where these cases are being brought are in courts that are going to be biased towards the president's agenda.
Yes, President Trump campaigned on the fact that he's going to set up Doge with Elon Musk and bring bold reforms to the executive branch to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. The American people like what they heard, and they elected President Trump with a broad mandate, 312 electoral votes, all 7 swing states. And President Trump is doing exactly what he told American voters he's going to do. And he has that power under Article 2 of the Constitution. He's taking care that the laws are faithfully executed. He's making sure there's not waste, fraud, and abuse. That is his core constitutional power. And you have these activist judges who think they are the HR director for the executive branch, that you have activist judges.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier how the chat is a very important and critical component here. The 3 rules I have in the chat are no racism, no violent term service, and no spam. And I mentioned to you specifically, Tony, multiple times that I don't like people talking in all caps. If your content has merit, people will find it without you trying to make your particular font more visible than anyone else's. And I certainly don't want my chat devolving into a bunch of people talking in all caps. It's gross. It's sickening. So talk as much as you want, but turn. I'm telling you now. I warned you the other time, and then I ended up having to pause you. Don't make me bounce you. Just stop with the all caps. It's really very simple. Be respectful of others. The reason I do that is the reason I have a rule against spamming is because I have deep respect for the chat, and I'm compelling everyone else to display similar respect for the chat.
Who are telling the commander-in-chief he can't bring home overseas foreign service officers at USAID. They're telling the president that he needs to not do buyouts for executive branch employees. These activist judges are overstepping their bounds. They're trying to sabotage the president's Article 2 power.
You know, as much as I like to point out the hypocrisy of these judges and all the things you've just said, and I might remind the Democrats to look in the mirror at Joe Biden, who ignored the Supreme Court. This process matters. And if we get to that point where we go to the Supreme Court with an expedited hearing and we get that stare decisis, that precedent set, I think that could help shut the Democrats down. It won't shut them up, but maybe it'll shut them down in some of these judges. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the most egregious one is that the Secretary of the Treasury cannot look at payments from the Treasury. That's not constitutional.
So this looks like an old report. I'm like, okay, just listen to this. I'm like, this stuff happened a while ago. So we're gonna. I was just checking that out for the first time now, but I'm feeling a little bored by it. Eric Axelrod says, started pharmacy in 2000. I can give you a primer on the business model. By the way, Mark Cuban is dishonest. His company does the exact same thing as PBMs. I'm not surprised. Mark Cuban dishonest? Color me shocked. Yeah, 81 million. That's what I thought you meant. Approved by FDA is like bright colors on a poisonous frog as far as I'm concerned now. You get what you deserve. You still trust them at this point. But 100%. 100%. Leader number 7. Oh, Captain, my Captain. So I'll tell you right now, I have grave concerns that I'm not so enthusiastic as far as being confident that bill, the NORA bill, the No Rogue Rulings Act, I have very little confidence that's gonna land on Trump's desk anytime soon. I have very, very little confidence. I think we have too many squishy Republicans, and I also think you're probably going to need to have you're going to need to have 60 senators. So I'm not so confident that's going to fly, but they're saying they're hopeful it's going to work. I don't know. Could be. Who knows? But my speculations, I don't think that's going to happen. And while we're sticking with Mario, news updates that I've gotten from him that you may have missed, there was this that came out earlier today as well. Biden's IRS exposed tax info of 405,000 Americans, including Trump. Yeah, the party that's all worried about exposing American private and confidential information to Elon. Newly uncovered documents reveal that Biden's IRS leaked the private tax information of at least 405,000 citizens, including Trump's returns. The massive breach raises serious concerns about government overreach and political targeting. Is this incompetence or weaponization of the tax system? The American people deserve answers. So, yeah, I saw that and I was like, in what ways was the Biden administration not an outright FU to the American people? Because it's hard for me to actually come up with ways. Is every time you think that we've covered all the different ways that the Biden administration was just one big massive middle finger to Americans, we come out with 405,000 citizens had their taxpayer information leaked. Like, such an utter disaster. I don't know where to begin with this. I don't even know where to begin with that. I don't even know where to begin with them. The RNC should be creating commercials of Dems protesting, stopping fraud, and start running them on MSM primetime, supermajority, and Senate for 2027. I agree with you. But as I said, nothing that people do in an odd number year affects elections in even number of years. So I think people have memories that are too short. They're too short. What people are going to care about in 2026 is how strong is the economy. Has it bounced back? That's what they're going to care about. That's how you're going to win. It's nice fodder to throw it out there. I agree with you on that. Totally agree with you on that. You know, to sort of rekindle the ire that everyone has with Democrats, 100%. I think that it's a great thought. I'm simply saying nothing is as powerful as next month's bill. That's why Kamala got butchered, because of bills that people had in August, September, and October of 2024. That's why she got butchered. So these are all nice thoughts, but that's just the reality of how politics works. Thoughts on Dan Crenshaw saying he killed Tucker? I talked about this last night. I covered it, and I showed the clip where I tried figuring out whether he said I would effing kill Tucker, or I'd probably kill him, or I'll effing kill him. And I do think that those two statements are very distinct. There's a big difference, because probably is just sort of, that's less of a committed intent and sort of like expressing his disdain rather than more like a threat type of thing. So I do think that word matters a lot, and it's very hard to hear in the hot mic. And it's not even really a hot mic. It's sort of like a lukewarm mic, because it seems like the other guy's mic was on and not his. So we're picking up like reverberations of what he's saying. But let's assume that he did say effing, which is what the interviewer claims he said. Let's assume he did say that. I think he's an idiot. I think he's a moron. I even shared a picture of. I tweeted out last night while I was covering that story what I thought was the most hilarious thing in the world. You clearly missed it, so I will share. But despite missing last night's show, I will share it with you because it was totally worth seeing. This is what I tweeted out last night while I was covering that story. Caitlin Bennett saying, "You're Dan Crenshaw trying to kill Tucker Carlson." POV. I think this is genius. Especially because it's obviously not true. That's what it would look like if someone was blind in one eye. But I just thought that was just freaking, this is freaking brilliant. So, yeah, anyhow, bottom line is, I think he's a doofus, and the fact that he tried lying about it just exposed even more doofusness from him. And yet somehow we can't get rid of this guy. I don't know what to do about it. Somehow certain members of the House become so notorious / popular that they seem almost inextricable from their House seat. You need to have some crazy, any name you've heard of, it seems like they're just impossible to remove, impossible to primary out, especially if you need to get them out via primary. Meaning, in New York, in AOC's district, the only way you can get her out is a primary, because whoever runs as Democrat is going to win there. You're never going to beat her. She has a war chest that's ridiculous. And people like the fact that she's feisty and stupid and girly and whatever, and girl power and all that other stupidity. She'll be in the House as long as she wants, and frankly, probably can consider running for even a more as horrifying as it is to consider. If she tried running for a senator, I think that she probably, or governor, I think that she probably has a better chance than most names you can throw out there in New York. So Dan Crenshaw seems to be on the right side of the aisle, someone who has similar fandom. So as much as I think that he should be censured for what he said, because it's just not something that someone should be saying. I think he should be censured. What he said, I do not think is remotely illegal. It's not Brandenburg, it's not incitement, it's not anything. So I don't think it's remotely illegal what he said. I do think he should be censured. And I also don't think it's going to have much of any impact on his political career, because he's that deeply entrenched already, unfortunately. So that's my thoughts on it. PayPal. You want me to check PayPal? I can check PayPal. Let me see what you got for me. PayPal. Let's check PayPal. What we got? I got to check on my phone. Yeah, that's right. It's going to work when I check my email. Loading. Let's see. Not seeing PayPal. Not seeing it. Gosh. Let me check my email. Man, people make demands of me in the middle of my show. PayPal. I don't see it. I don't know what you're trying to tell me. I don't see it. Sorry. Ooh, sorry. Am I looking at the wrong PayPal address? It's impossible. I'm sorry, brother. I don't see it. cute. Eye Patch McCain is extremely disliked by many. Hopefully, I don't know. I have very little confidence in our ability to get rid of him. What else did I have for you? Gold card. I wanted to share with you. We need to talk about the gold card. Trump is now offering an immigration gold card. This we need to talk about. We need to have conversation about this, about the morality, ethics, intellect of this plan. Pretend it's not introduced by Trump, and tell me what you think of this plan. But here he is talking about the gold card plan. The gold card plan.
We're going to be doing something else that's going to be very, very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful.
You can already see the left freaking out. Give us your tired, you poor. You're uber billionaires. You're huddled masses with $5 million yearning to be free. Oh my gosh. When I heard this, I thought this was the funniest thing in the world.
Never been done before, anything like this, but it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to say a couple of words about it?
Sure.
President, are there
Wait a
any
minute.
requirements for that gold
Hang on a
card?
second.
Do you have to invest a certain amount of money in this country in order to qualify for that gold card?
You have to invest a certain amount of money in this country in order to qualify.
Yeah, exactly.
So the EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was full of nonsense, make-believe, and fraud, and it was a way to get a green card that was low priced. So the president said,
we're like, no, we want to have a high priced way. I have a lot of thoughts about this. Not all of them are positive. Not all of them are positive. You haven't seen me express enthusiastic support for this because this is crossing. To me, this feels like it's crossing some kind of line.
rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold. So they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can come to America. The president can give them a green card, and they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The President of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead?
The gold card, well, millions, but the gold card will bring in with it people that create jobs, very high level people. I think companies will pay to get people in. For instance, you today graduate from the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or Stanford or any college, and nobody knows if you can even go to work for a company. So Apple and all these companies that want to get people to be working for them will be able to buy a card, and for the people that are number one in their class at top schools, I see that as one of the things. But generally speaking, it'll be people with money and people that create jobs, and they won't have to pay any tax on income outside of the United States, which they're not paying right now. They're not citizens, but they'll have to pay if they create jobs in the United States. They'll pay full taxes like everybody else. So you're getting big taxpayers, big job producers, and we'll be able to sell maybe 1 million of these cards, maybe more than that. And if you add up the numbers, they're pretty good. As an example, 1 million cards would be worth $5 trillion. $5 trillion.
Wow.
And if you sell 10 million of the cards, that's a total of $50 trillion. Well, we have 35 trillion in debt. That'd be nice. So we'll see. But it could be great. Maybe it will be fantastic.
Maybe.
We have it all worked out from the legal standpoint. It's totally legal to do. Hasn't been done before. It's been done in many different forms. We give them away. Why should we give them away? We shouldn't give them away. And I think it's something very exciting. I think it's potentially just something that we're all very excited about.
Do you really think we're going to get 1 million people to pay $5 million to become American citizens? You think that's going to happen? You think that's going to happen? I don't think that's going to happen. 1 million. I'm sorry, 1 million. I don't see that happening. I just don't see that happen. But let's assume you can get $1 trillion out of it. People saying that they do this in other countries, like in our 51st state. Let's see if this is what they do in this great state of Canada. I'm going to ask Rock if that's really true. Does Canada have a program where people can buy citizenship? Well, they don't have a program where you can directly buy citizenship. While there are investment options that can lead to permanent residency, such as the Quebec Immigrant Investor Program and the Startup Visa Program, these do not provide an immediate path to citizenship. Instead, they grant residency status, and individuals must then meet additional requirements, such as living in Canada for a set period, demonstrating language proficiency, and passing the citizenship steps. So, yeah, it is. It was currently suspended, and even when active, requires commitment to reside in Quebec, a multi-year process before citizenship eligibility. The Startup Visa Program targets entrepreneurs who can establish innovative businesses in Canada, grants them residency, but not immediate citizenship. Yeah, but that's long-term citizenship. Yeah, it's a pathway in. Typically need to reside in Canada for at least 3 out of 5 years. How many other countries offer a faster method of obtaining citizenship via investment? I don't know. Thinking. What? That's not a real country. Vanuatu? Okay, give me real countries. Turkey, Grenada, Malta. That's it. No, not faster than Canada. Oh my god. Yeah, he's awesome. Yo, my bad for the mix-up. Here's the straight answer. Over 20 countries offer the wealthy people skip the usual immigration grind through cash investments. These are either citizenship. Come on, give me real countries. Turkey, Montenegro. I said that properly. Jordan. Big flex. You listed 20. That's not 20. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is just impossible. I tried. So they don't want to answer me. One last thing. 3 countries in Europe permit wealthy folks to use a special program to circumvent. This is important to me. The reason I'm wasting as much time on this, and I apologize for that. Did I put all caps on? Look at me. I'm like freaking Tony here. To any Because the more widespread it is, especially amongst first world countries, or those countries which, frankly, every country outside of America is a third world country, but countries that most people regard as being first world countries, the more acceptable this is, and the more bad faith it is when someone is saying that Trump is doing something that's just insane. So Canada is definitely helpful as far as offsetting that anticipated claim that that claim I'm anticipating hearing from various wackos on the left who want to bash on Trump for anything. But that's just one country. So I'm wondering if I can find other countries that they would respect. They'd be like, well, Germany has it also, or something to that effect. So that's what I'm trying to get out of Grok, and that's why I'm wasting as much time as I am with this stupid, they don't know why they want to answer me. Anyways. It's like this cross-examination here. Golden visa programs. Portugal, Greece, Malta, Spain, Hungary. Oh, this is what... Thank you. Thank you. Oh, my God. Why was this so hard? Latvia, Jordan, Australia. Oh my God. So these golden visa programs. All right, you just got to get the right terminology. Cyprus, Australia, New Zealand. Now we're getting somewhere. Turkey. So they're not going to respect Turkey and Jordan, but Portugal and Spain and Greece and Italy. Yeah. Australia, Canada. All right. In that context, it really does change a little bit what he's doing here. I will tell you that America kind of has a well-enshrined reputation and a well-earned reputation for being more open. It's a reputation that we actually should be proud of. Now, obviously, what's happened over the last 4 years was an abuse from an administration which should be tarred and feathered. But that does not mean that we should not take pride in the fact that America has long been regarded as the land of opportunity, and accordingly offering greater opportunities to the wealthy kind of sits a little bit wrong in my stomach. I'm not going to kid you. It bothers me a little bit. It bothers me because I feel as if look, I understand the need, and I understand that our deficit's insane, and I understand what he's thinking here. It kind of upsets me a little bit here because I do look at America as the unique land of opportunity. And the fact that someone can buy that opportunity by paying $5 million plus, kind of, it feels like rewarding the wealthy for being wealthy. And it kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm not going to kid you. Maybe I'm alone in this. And I'm not saying he's wrong for doing it. I'm simply saying this is not a program that I'm proud of. And look, if he ends up raising $5 trillion the way he's hoping for, or even $1 trillion, I'll be like, yeah, okay. This kind of like what we had to do. Kind of what we had to do because we were so far behind the 8 ball. But I'm not going to kid you. It bothers me. It's something about it just feels nasty. Something about it feels nasty. And I always said that I don't care if it's Trump doing or anyone else. If I feel a certain way about something, I'm going to be very open with you about it, even if it is Trump. And I understand what he's doing. Is it the most disturbing thing ever? No, obviously. And the fact that other countries are doing it or something similar, where they have a golden visa program, that makes it less objectionable. But I do think that we as Americans should take pride in our unique status as being the land of opportunity. And the fact that that opportunity is being offered an expedited basis to the uber wealthy kind of feels gross. I also question whether you really think there's going to be, I don't even think there's going to be 100,000 people who take advantage of this, much less 1 million. I don't think there's going to be 100,000 people who do it. But I could be wrong. He would probably know better than I would. Trump would know better than I would. You think it's going to be something that's going to bring in trillions of dollars? Let me see what you guys have been talking about. Oh my God. That laugh I just gave you right now, I almost forgot to share with you all. I want to share this with you all. This, in case you're not following me on X, I thought this was the funniest thing in the world. This made me laugh like that. It laughed in that really weird way that I just laughed. And I was like, wow, that's a really weird laugh I just gave. But I literally laughed out loud when I saw this today. And I have to share this with you. I have to. I think you're gonna like this. I think you're gonna like this. I mean, I tweeted it out, but in case you're not following me, religiously on X, which I understand, that's not everything. This happened. This happened. I tweeted this out. When I look back at the highlights of my social media career, please do not let me forget the day Martina Navratilova challenged me to a spelling bee. Yes, tennis legend Martina Navratilova challenged me to a spelling bee. Why? Why would she challenge me to a spelling bee? Because there was this. That's not going to work. You know what? Let me go back and I'll find the original. I'll find the original instead of the picture I took here, so we can revel in it together. I thought this was the funniest thing in the world. I don't know what the hell's wrong with this lady. I don't know what's wrong with Martina Navratilova. Yeah, the tennis legend Martina Navratilova. She's blocked me. So. What is that? It's February 22nd. What the hell is that? All right. I forgot that I even wrote this to her. So she wrote to someone, bicultist. I call it as I see it. Do not agree with the governor of Maine policy, but Trump has no business threatening her like that. Also, Trump is an adjudicated rapist. An adjudicated rape? That's not true. That's not true. He's not adjudicated. Quite the contrary. He's adjudicated as not being that. So not exactly a defender of women. He just hates all trans people, other than his bootlicker Jenner. So I responded. I was this ignorant woman. I was responding to the fact of how stupid her post was, that she reflects like a very limited mind, which is why I wrote, just surprised this ignorant post didn't spell the word as adjudicated. Because who the hell would say adjudicated? Who would? This is like, you're so stupid. You're so stupid, Martina. So she said, you want to have a spelling bee contest? It's really her. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's really her. Yes, it's really her. Oh my God. It's really Martina Navratilova called me an asswipe. Challenge me to spelling bee. Oh my God. I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. Why would you be challenging some random? Yes, I do. Yes, I very much. You and me, Martina. I'll tell you right now. I'm calling you out. I am ready anytime, any place. You and me will have a spelling bee. Okay, Martina? Okay, Martina? I challenge you. Just one thing is, don't make one of the words I have to spell her last name, because the first time I tried to that because I misspelled it. I was like, oh my God, I have to take that down and refix that. But yeah. And then she never mind. I won't waste any more time with you. Not worth it. And instead she blocked me. Oh God. Oh God. Whew. Yeah, she was ratioed pretty hard here with her 10,000 likes and 7,200 comments. Martina. Oh my God. So yeah, today is the day that I got challenged. That Martina Navratilova called me an asswipe and challenged me to spelling. It made me laugh so hard when I saw it. I shared it with all my friends. I was like, look at this. Martina's calling me, is challenging me to spelling bee. I wonder who would host, who would be a good moderator of my spelling bee against Martina. I remember as a little kid seeing her play tennis, like literally when I was tiny. The first female tennis player I ever heard of her and Chris Evert. Oh my God. Martina Navratilova challenging me to a spelling bee. That'd be so good. I wish she didn't back out of it. Coward. You cowardice. Digger number 44 here. It's my birthday and I'll cry. I'm graduating law school in May. I'm finna pass the bar in July. Already got clients and Ohio Supreme Court practice certificate time over. Thanks for your content. Oh my God. Congratulations to you. My pity to you and your family. But when you manage to accomplish something that you work very hard for, and I know that becoming a lawyer takes a great deal of effort. So that's worthy of celebration and accomplishment, as foolhardy as the endeavor is. Not that it is. I told you, I'm sure I talked about this. 2 days after I got admitted, the lawyer I was working for said, I'm going to give you the best advice anyone could have given you, and I wish someone gave me when I was fresh out of law school like you, and that is get out of law now. He's like, I do really well. I have my own practice. Okay, pretty successful. Got a bunch of employees here, pretty successful. And so I'm doing well by attorney standards. This is what Peter told me. And I'll tell you this. I live in a building, very expensive building with a doorman. And I am pretty much the poorest man in my building. Because they all have businesses, and I don't have anything to sell when I leave. When I hang up my shingle, I'm done. I have nothing to fall back on to earn. So I was like, why didn't you come to me 4 years ago? Why are you telling me this now? That doesn't make any sense. Trump says it to the press. If I remember correctly, maybe play a few more seconds. Trump never lies. He says what to the press? I don't know what he says to the press. Also consider that our wealthy are investing in other countries for expedited citizenship, and we need to offer the same to make up the difference. This is a good point. This is a very good point. I like this. You're saying that, other countries are drawing them away. They might be drawn away to Greece and be told they need to invest there. And this way we sort of can lash back at them. I think that's a really good point. That is in other words, it's a competitive thing. They're taking our wealthy away. Why shouldn't we take their wealthy away? This is another. See, a lot of times when my gut says how I want to look at something, I can't really figure why it is. but like I just feel like that's a benefit to have this in my quiver, this arrow in my quiver. And that's why I was like, that nugget of information of, is this done? I was like, this is an important nugget to have. Is this done? Or is Trump breaking all norms with this? And he's not breaking all norms. So it definitely makes it more palatable. And and your point is, because it is being done in other countries, Reslo Town's point here is well taken. People might be lured away to Italy and feel like, oh, Americans might feel, I want to become an Italian citizen, I have to invest there. Well, let's get Italian citizens to come here. Invest here. That's a good point. Very good point. Janelle, nope, suck it up, Buttercup. Show me the money. Show me the money. Oh, you want the you want people getting their gold visas, getting their gold cards, their gold cards. Martina or Martin? I see what you're doing there. I see what's going on. If the match were judged by John McEnroe, game on. Oh, that would be amazing. That would be so good. So good. I agree it feels icky, but I think he said no green cards will be denied in favor of a gold card. I'd feel betterish. Elitism grates in my soul. That's what it is. It's the elitism of it. It's the elitism of it. It's like the old boys club. You know, although I'm sure many women will take advantage. But now we're going to have like this Russian mayor. He said we're betting people. So, sorry, application denied. But I gave you $5 million. Application denied. It helps you appreciate just how valuable your American privilege is. It really does.
You maybe give us a closer in perspective as to what the subversion is happening inside of the building.
Yeah, no, it gives you a better feeling for exactly what your privilege is worth. That he thinks that 1 million people would pay $5 million to have what you were born with. And future illegal aliens may not be born with. All right. This was a high quality show that I'm putting in the books that I'm going to be proud of. Please raise your trays and put them in the locked upright position as the plane is starting to come down here. It's time for us to start bring it on home. Bring it on back. You and Martina are being monitored by AOC. It's money. Cha-ching. Cha-ching. AOC. Yeah, she's the deciding factor right there. She's the X factor. She's the X factor. All right, you inspired me. Everyone can thank Janelle Rella. She inspired me. That there were a couple of funny videos that I was gonna pass on, but she inspired me that I'm gonna share at least one of them here. Because the idea of her doing that just made me laugh. This isn't funny, not this one. Let's do 2 Joy Reid ones. This was funny. 2 Joy Reid ones.
There's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears. Really white tears in general, because that's what Karens are, right? They Karen out, and then as soon as they get caught, it's like, Green Waterworks. White men can get away with that too. And it has the same effect.
Does it?
My show had value, and that I'm sorry. That what I was doing had value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV.
Let me tell you something. If you have to say it had value, it didn't have value. If you had to say it, it doesn't. It's that simple. It's really that simple. The Hodge twins, what the hell was that? The Hodge twins had fun with this clip also, so let's share that with you.
My show had value. I'm sorry. That what I was doing had value.
Hey, man, that face, I should not be feeling this happy. Why are you gaslighting yourself? You got fired because your ratings sucked. You said
I'm a big fan of the Hodge twins. I like them.
And your show had value. I mean, you're lying to yourself. I want to see these tails one more time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
that
Shoot in my veins.
what I was doing
Shoot the tears in my veins.
had value.
I want to live
Had
forever.
value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV. And
Let it flow.
kind of like
Let it flow. Let it flow.
me on TV, so I apologize. In the end,
Shut up. Yeah, just shut up, lady. The government is trending towards the right. And as you can see, they did away with Don Lemon and they did away with you. They're getting rid of all the waste. This woman, she's part of the country swinging right. You're a part of that.
It's true. It's been a large part. We can all be grateful that in part we have the Trump presidency because of this clown.
That's the only value you brought to the table on your show. And that's why you got fired.
I'm sorry, you're fired. Get out of here.
Nice. Nice. And that's a great note to close out on. That right there. Cleared on runway 1. Great show, Joe. Thank you so much, Richard. All right. Lab meat. Lab meat. Ew. No. Ew. Ew. It's lab meat. Ew. It's a they, them. It's not for you. Not for you. It's for they, them. Not for you. And do not, no matter how they try putting it in candy or in your toothpaste or whatever it is, don't eat the bugs. Do not eat the bugs. I think that's what we got. I think that's what I got for you. That is what I got for you tonight. And with that, I say to you all, my friends, I'll see you back tomorrow. Good night. And as always, Godspeed.